Finally getting the wash after about 2,000 miles traveling Arizona.
I feel like I might have to actually wipe this down. The sun is drying it so fast.
If you want to see a before and after, check out this brake dust. He's got the roof done and working on this side. He's still got the rest of the trailer. Wow, look at that, so shiny. We're doing a little grilling today. You want to help me?
Yes, I can help you.
What do we have here? Chicken?
Chicken
And this?
and beef,
Beef?
and leaf
Oh,
pork
pork ribs. Okay. Let's get these on the grill. Let's see how delicious this comes out. Got some chicken, some carne asada, and some Asian pork ribs. Let's see how we're doing here. This looks good. I say it's looking pretty good. Wow, look how shiny. It's dark because we just had dinner, but check out the shine on this. Time for some more traveling. Looks delicious. What's cooking?
Yum seafood.
Yum seafood?
Yeah.
It looks like shrimp.
Yeah, shrimp and grass noodle.
And this, vegetables.
Yes, vegetable.
Eat healthy today. How did you enjoy traveling Arizona?
I like big area. I like Grand Canyon. I like snow.
Is it cold?
Yeah, so cold.
Wow, look at my hair. How is Arizona temperature now?
Feel warm, near hot.
She got this big jacket for when we were traveling up in northern Arizona. We made a stop, fix some things like replace all these switches with LED lights. The water pump one was failing, and I had already replaced this one and this one, so I figured I might as well replace all of them with so that they match. As I was saying, we had to take a few days break to repair some things. The flap for the fan kept not completely falling, but it wouldn't stay in place. I had already upgraded the fan, so it's real noisy now. See the flap open? And now it actually closes. Before it would stay partially open. The sink faucet was different. It broke, so I replaced it with this one. Seems nicer, even lights up. It's a little dark in here. We're camped out for the night. So we grabbed some Chinese food before we rolled out. right after we had Audio Express replace the amplifier up here. It's controlled by this switch, and it had quit working during our trip. It was having a hard time, so I had left it on for a couple of weeks, and then it just suddenly died. When he pulled out the old one, I shook it and I could hear something rattling inside. So I'm thinking probably a blown cap or something. I had to come outside because the wife is cooking. So this is the box of the amp, the new amp that's installed in the RV. This is the old original amp. One of the things the guy noticed is, so I see two 30 amp fuses here. He said this should have had a 4 gauge cable, and it's got a 10 gauge. That's why they replaced it with a 500 watt. Originally we were speccing out a 1500 watt. This one, the original one, is a 2500 watt, which she said at 1 ohm it's rated at 1500 watts, so it would have been the same. I did open it up and I found a blown capacitor, just like I suspected. So I'm gonna order the part and try to repair that, and I don't know, test it. If it works, keep it as a spare part. So one more thing that I got to repair. I just ordered the parts. This particular piece here, I forget the actual technical term. I know it's a shackle, but there's a more descriptive word for it. It keeps slamming into here every time we hit potholes, and about every year or two I have to replace it. So I ordered a more heavy-duty one that I found on one of the YouTube guys. I can't remember his YouTube channel. I'll put it down below later. And I'm also going to replace this triangle, which is called a equalizer, with the motorized suspension one. It's not only the same triangle, but it also has a built-in like a piece of rubber inside that cushions all the road vibration to reduce how much of that road vibration and impacts are transferred from the axles to the frame. So it's going to make the ride in the RV a lot nicer for all of our appliances and cabinets and everything that we have in there. We've already got about 50,000 miles on the rig, on the trailer itself. The truck is newer. Had to relocate. So we used to pull the trailer with an F-150. Then I switched over to enterprise rental program, long-term contract, and they had F-250s and other 3/4 tons. I liked the F-250s, and they would put me either in an XLT or a Lariat. The Lariat was nicer. I did notice the XLT was a bit too rough for me. The Lariat was borderline where I was wondering, should I buy one or not? And I was kind of thinking not, because it was a bit too stiff compared to the F-150. The F-150 rode like a Cadillac in comparison. This truck here is a Platinum, and I noticed not only is the steering a lot easier, it's not, you don't have to like arm wrestle the steering wheel like you do in the Lariat or even the XLT. I don't think the XLT has the electric assist. And the suspension is smoother. It's essentially like a heavy-duty 3/4 ton. It's got the extra leaf. And right now we're hooked up, and you can see this side is not touching. I can't see this other side. I don't know if it's touching. No, it's not. But I also added a super spring. See if I can show you. And that really helps out the ride. It helps with the squat. I went ahead and took it to a weight station to make sure the weights are transferring correctly and make sure the rear axle wasn't carrying too much weight. And it actually transfers really nice. This is our lithium battery bay. I've got a couple of chargers. I could have gone with one 80 amp charger because I've got two 200 amp batteries in there, and or amp hour batteries, that is. Their recommended charge rate is 40 amps each, so an 80 amp charger would do the trick. The reason I went with two 40 amp chargers is when I park this in storage, I am limited to 5 amps on maintenance charge, and one of these chargers will pull 5 amps. So I have the opportunity to shut the other one off. This is where we're at right now. We were actually woke up to alarms around 2 in the morning. Low battery alarms, that is. So I started the generator, ran it for 2 hours, went back to sleep. Woke up, you know, that's 2-hour mark because I set a timer. Shut it off, went back to sleep. We were pretty low, so they're still taking a charge. I've been charging them now for just over 90 minutes. And like I was saying, their recommended charge rate together is 80 amps. Because we've got solar, they're charging at 102 or so currently, depending on loads. Their capacity each is 250 amps charge rate, but the recommended for, you know, the length of life is 40 amps each, so 80 amps together. So that would be 500 amps total charge that I could subject these to, which I'm not going to. This is around the max. I think this morning they were at 135 amps because I kept the original converter, so that because these lithium battery chargers, they don't float, they just charge and then shut off, and the original converter will at least float. The batteries may float around 40 or 50%, which is actually recommended for long-term storage. And I'm going to have the opportunity to monitor that in the next few days, as it's going to be in storage for 4 days. I also got rid of the original PWM 30. That charger only really put maybe 5 to 8 amps into the batteries for about 2.5 hours per day. This should be able to maintain, it seems to be putting out about 3 to 5 amps depending on sun. And I'm hoping to maintain that throughout the day. So I should be able to get more out of that one solar panel. It's a 160 watt solar panel that came with the RV from the factory. And I added this, so I added another 1200 watts to a 40 amp solar controller. I probably should have gotten a 60 or an 80, but this one does great. And I've got this remote controller for it. Now here's an opportunity for you to learn from my mistakes. Always have your inverter and your solar controllers as close to your battery bank as possible. If I was to redo this, I would move it over, and that way I could have this at about 14.4, 14.5 because of voltage drop. Both when you're pulling from your inverter, you can experience voltage drop. So I did move my batteries closer to the inverter. And since the batteries, the lead acid were outside, the lithiums are now inside. So the inverter is, I think, about 1.5 feet away from the batteries now. The solar controller is still run off of, I want to say it's about 15-foot 6-gauge cable. It does great. I just have to tell it to boost charge at 14.9, and I think I've got the float charge at 14.2, since lithium likes a higher voltage anyway. And they seem to sit, if I'm plugged in at an RV park, they seem to sit at about 13.6, 13.7 on a float. If I'm not, then they never seem to really get up to 14.4. The max I see is about 13.6 or 13.7. Bye-bye. It's about time we end this video. Got a little long. And we've been doing some work on the trailer for a few days. How do you feel?
Today have harsh windy outside. Today feel cold.
Oh yeah, today's very windy. Dust everywhere. Bye.